Okay, let's try our caller from the 714 area code. Caller from 714, tell us your name and where you're calling from and what's on your mind today.
Hey, my name is Laura. I'm in Orange County, California. I was wondering what you think about this story from the Washington Post. It says that non-citizens can now vote in College Park, Maryland. And my follow-up to that is, why do so many people on the left think that voter ID laws are racist?
Well, there's a couple different things in there. The first story you mentioned, I've not seen, so I would not be able to comment on it because I've not seen that story. But I'll look into it, Laura. Your second question was, why do so many people on the left believe that voter ID laws are racist? So let's expand on that a little bit. Like, who specifically are you talking about, and what have they said?
I'm talking about people on CNN. I'm talking about the ACLU having a legal battle with the state of Texas, saying that the requirement that you show ID is such a horrible thing. It's so difficult for people to show ID before voting. But people show ID to buy alcohol and to go to the movies.
Now, Laura, you first said that there were people on the left saying that voter ID is racist, but now you're saying that the ACLU is saying that it's difficult for people to show ID. So those are two different arguments, right? Who on CNN said voter ID is racist?
Well, it's a talking point that I've heard on CNN.
But from who?
Probably Don Lemon.
You probably heard on CNN from Don Lemon that voter ID is racist. Okay.
Or one of the people he was interviewing.
Oh, so it wasn't Don Lemon who said it. It was somebody else.
It was his program, but it was,
So it was a guest's opinion, you're saying. Okay. So listen, here's the thing, Laura. A lot of this kind of gets wrapped up in semantics, right? Where if we say something is racist or something disproportionately impacts people who are members of a particular race. So a lot of it gets wrapped up in the sort of semantics of it. But here's my view on the entire voter ID thing, right? Because at face value, you're right. Listen, you show ID to buy alcohol. You show ID to prove you're old enough to get into a rated R movie. What about showing an ID to get into vote? The problem I have is the following. It's not that showing ID is a difficult task, but the issue is that so-called free voter IDs aren't really free, in the sense that depending on where you live and depending on what your family background is or was in terms of economic situation and other factors, in order to get a so-called voter ID, you might have to travel. You might have to travel, and there are costs associated with that. And not only that, once you get to where you need to get the voter ID, you might be required to show documents to get the voter ID that are not free documents to obtain. And if you've had, for example, anything from housing instability to parental instability or any other number of issues throughout your life, you would not have those documents, and then you would also have to pay to obtain those documents. And in addition to that, the people who would most have trouble getting time off from their job during what we would call business hours, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, are disproportionately economically disadvantaged people, which in our country happen to be more likely to be not white. So it's very easy to just say there's nothing racist about saying show me an ID, but when you actually go through the mechanics in the large numbers of, well, what does it mean to get a so-called free ID? You can see how it would disproportionately impact members of a certain race. So whether you call it racist or not is sort of, it's a semantic argument, but do you sort of understand the path I'm walking through here?
Yeah, I get it. I guess there'd be obstacles to obtaining the ID.
Right. Yes. All right, Laura. Well, listen, I hope that my comments have been helpful to you. I really, really appreciate the call. We will take a break, and then we will continue with more of your calls after this.